This was the tour we took at Superior Lithographics on Friday. They have a vision statement, and it's to be the most respected independent printer with the happiest team members in the Western United States. Their team values are safety, respect, quality, communication, teamwork, and creativity. If they have a tough decision, they come back to these values. All of their people are very important, and they actually have a board with all of the people on it and their names, so it's easy for people to get to know each other. Jeff, our tour guide, was very informative and had a lot of information about Lean. I've got some video clips here. Jeff talks about the workplace being a visual workplace where they want everything to be out and open and for people to be able to see tools, see the time, and just see cleanliness. Here's a little bit about the new press that they just installed and Jeff explaining it.
Visual workplace. So that's really critical to us. This is our newest piece of equipment that we got to install from the ground up. So the things that we did to promote that, for example, we lit up usually what's the dirtiest part of the press, and we kept it really clear. You'll notice on our old presses, this area is much dirtier over the years prior to Lean, and you can't even fix it anymore because it's an inch of dry coating or whatever. And we're trying to clean everything, keep it clean. And we designed the walls, for example, we put the plywood and all that for use, right? Because people walk by, you bump a little bit. So you'll notice things like that. We don't have shadow boards yet, we're still constructing that, but very digital, very open, and it's easy for 5S. That's the critical part. After this is installed, we were walking down this aisle and we saw a little puddle of water leaking out the bottom of the cabinet. And we were like, that's weird, where's this from? So before, we saw it would maybe just wipe it up, but for 5S, the true thing for 5S is inspection, right? Why is there a puddle there? I see it, it means something. So then we traced the puddle back, saw that it was leaking from maybe like it wasn't from a condenser, but it was from a heat exchanger thing. So we called the mechanics in, it's under warranty. They found the source, they fixed it. Great, right? So before it was so messy, you have a little puddle of water, you wouldn't even see it. And if you did see it, you might just assume that it was, from something else or something not important. But that's why we try and keep it clean so we can inspect for that. And luckily we caught that and asked the 5Y to trace it back to the root cause so that it didn't slowly leak out and all of a sudden the press is dry. And then we have a breakdown.
Everywhere we went, we saw shadow boards with tools. Here's a cleaning station that they had. There were several throughout the shop, and you could see that the broom was missing at this cleaning station, but everything had a place. Here's a light booth with the PMS color books right where you need them. You'd use them in the color booth where you can check color. In their slitting operation, where they take master rolls and slit them down to sheets, you can see the tools are placed right where they need them, and everything is labeled. They don't go missing. We also learned about the Kanban inventory control system. The way it works is everything has a max and minimum. When the product gets into the minimum, the card is removed and taken to purchasing. Purchasing buys the product and then puts the inventory card in the receiving department. When receiving gets the product and places it back where it goes, the inventory control card is returned until then again it reaches minimum and it recycles that way. Nothing is ever lost. Next, we learned about the suggestion board. It's a great tool to make changes and improvements like our 2-second improvements every day. This is something we'll be implementing, and I'll show you another video later more in depth on this project. Next, we learned about the lunchroom and how they have implemented about 15 different suggestions just for the lunchroom. Thought it was quite impressive.
So maybe like 2 years down the road, so Friday years ago, there was a suggestion, can we build a new lunchroom or redo our lunchroom? Our lunchroom used to be that corner and it ended where the fire extinguisher was. So literally just that 10 by 12, right? And not only that, it had that fridge in there, 2.5 microwaves, and like a vending machine. So, and 2 picnic tables. So there's no space. And there's 2.5 microwaves because there was 3 microwaves, but anytime you had all 3 on, it tripped the breaker and it wouldn't work. And the AC didn't work, so only a few people ate in there. Other people ate outside. All the office people never ate in there. They always ate at their desk or in the car. So we said, okay, part of our culture change, we want to show that employees are the most important asset in this company. Like that was part of our culture change. So we said we're going to build a lunchroom, we're going to do that suggestion, and then people started putting in. They knew we were going to do it, so they started putting all these other suggestions. Can we get more microwaves that don't turn off in the ice machine? And can we get put our lunch box because we don't have lockers, stuff like that, napkin dispensers and things. So we said, sure, let's do all that. And we actually built most of this ourselves. So a lot of the guys on overtime or when they didn't have a job to do, they built this. So we had people frame it. They're all pretty handy. They painted it. The only thing we outsourced was the floor polishing and the AC units.
Their maintenance department was very well organized. They had a shadow board with all the main tools. They had an area where all the different screws were kept, whether it was industrial hardware or pneumatic or electrical. They had a schedule board on what needed to be maintained and when. It was a really impressive maintenance room, which I'm sure is generally a lot more unorganized than this, but was really impressive to see all this and the dedicated area to it that they had set up just for maintenance. They had a TV in the warehouse or in the production area with showing raving fans. They had ideas that they'd come up with to identify sheets. They had cones they would put on top of pallets to show the next process. Lots of safety everywhere. The rails guarding pallets from getting into the wrong position. Floor markings. Shadow boards. Everything in its place. Very visual. You could see what was missing and everything was where it needed to be to where it needed to be used. Nothing was somewhere where they had to walk far to get it. All throughout the plant, like here's an example, the 4th unit had its tools. The 3rd unit had the same tools, just at a different location. The inventory was impressive. When the product's in the green, you don't need to order it. When it's in the red, it's time to order it, and there's a procedure to get that done. They never run out of things. Here's an interesting process that I saw, which I'd never seen before, and maybe we do it, but this is what they call shingling the sheets throughout the run, so they can determine if there's a color variance as they're running through the run. As they pull sheets, they look at the color. I thought it was cool. On their folder gluer, it was really running fast, and if you look closely, you can see a lot of fun things they've done to make it easier and faster.
Rocco, can you hear that sound? We're on the door.
Still setting up the line.
Next, we ran into the bindery manager who gave us some thoughts on using improvements that his staff has come up with.
A lot of people didn't believe that everything was for the benefit of themselves and to make their job better. Not a fan of the word easier, but better, more simplified. So once people started actually putting in suggestions and getting some buy-in on what we're doing is to improve what they do, how they do it, and having everything they need within pretty much arm's reach of what they're doing. More and more suggestions started coming in. What about, can we make this change here? What about this change here? One of our first shadow boards were actually the gluers, which is also one of the most painstaking machines to set up and has the most parts to pull in and pull out. Then we even started color coding where everything goes and primary functions and all that stuff to make ready even faster and faster and faster. And those weren't anything like I was beating down into people. They were the ones telling me, we need to get this better. We need to get this better. We need to make this easier. So once everybody started seeing benefits, that's when things really started happening. At first, everybody kind of doubting everyone, and then once you start, proving to them that it will make your job easier or better, however you prefer to say it, that's when the changes really start to happen.
Any cautions or things to look out for?
I'd say the biggest cautions are be honest. Meaning, if you say you're going to do it, do it. If you're going to do something, you got to follow through with it. Even if it's good, bad, or indifferent, because what may seem bad to you, when you turn around and do it, it actually looks great for everybody else. So perception isn't reality when it comes to this. It's just perception. So what we can perceive as somebody who's trying to run it is to say, man, that looks like it's going to take way more time. It's not going to be as efficient. But when the people doing the work are the ones making the suggestions and making things better, if they want your idea to fail, it will. It's really simple. If they want their idea to succeed, it will. So they'll work harder if it's their idea. And they will work worse if it's yours. Those are the biggest cautions I would say. If I try to drive home my own ideas without input, they weren't going to work.
Excellent. Thank you.
I hope this short video really gives you an idea of what we saw. Even though it wasn't everything we saw, it was a lot of what we saw. And I'm so excited about continuing down this lean journey, and thanks to Superior Lithographics for sharing what they've learned.